Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Our movie begins with the couple, Finn and April, who are on a plane traveling to New York City to visit Finn's family. Their flight begins, but they encounter a fierce storm. Finn looks out the airplane window and notices lightning shaped like a shark in the clouds. He thinks he's imagining things, but when he looks again, he clearly sees a shark. Still, he convinces himself that no one would believe him if he mentioned it. He closes the window shade and tries to ignore it. Shortly after, turbulence shakes the plane. Finn opens the window shade again and sees a shark perched on the airplane wing. Alarmed, he tries to warn the passengers, but no one believes him since they're in the air, not the sea. A flying shark? That's impossible, they think. A flight attendant and a federal agent try to calm the passengers, explaining that it's just turbulence. But the situation escalates as more sharks gather outside the plane, becoming visible as they fly around the aircraft. One shark enters one of the plane's engines, causing it to burn out. The plane starts losing altitude, and the damaged engine breaks off, hitting the side of the aircraft and creating a large hole. A passenger gets sucked out of the plane, terrifying everyone on board. The flight attendant instructs everyone to stay seated and remain calm, but before she can finish, a flying shark attacks her, biting off her head in one gulp. More sharks slam into the plane's windshield. One of them breaks the glass and grabs the co-pilot's head with its teeth. The pilot tries to pull the co-pilot away from the shark's jaws, but both the pilot and co-pilot get sucked out of the plane along with the shark. The passengers in the back of the plane realize the cockpit is now empty, panicking even more. Finn bravely rushes to the cockpit to take control of the plane, attempting an emergency landing. April also runs to the cockpit to assist, but a plane door gets ripped off by the storm's force, pulling April outside. She manages to grab onto a seatbelt at the last moment, struggling not to get sucked out. The federal agent notices a shark approaching April and throws her his gun to defend herself. She shoots at the shark, but it doesn't die. The shark gets closer and bites off her hand, which is holding the gun. Back in the cockpit, Finn manages to activate the emergency landing system. With great difficulty, he successfully lands the plane on rough terrain. After this horrifying incident, Finn speaks to the media about the shark storm they encountered, but most people dismiss his story as ridiculous. Meanwhile, April is rushed to the hospital where she undergoes surgery for her severed hand. Finn waits anxiously outside the operating room. After the surgery, Finn visits April in her hospital room. They watch the news on TV where the anchor warns of a massive storm approaching the city filled with sharks. Upon hearing this, Finn calls his sister Ellen to warn her. Unfortunately, Ellen and her daughter are enjoying themselves at Liberty Island, and her phone is on silent, so she misses Finn's call while taking selfies with her daughter. Ellen learns about the shark storm from her friends at the island. She immediately calls Finn, who advises her to leave Liberty Island and head to Manhattan for safety. Ellen tells him that her husband Martin and their son Vaughn are watching a baseball game at a stadium near the river, which the storm is expected to hit. She asks Finn to go to them and get them to safety. They agree on a meeting point after the rescue. As soon as the call ends, one of Ellen's friends notices sharks swimming in the river, heading toward them. Fortunately, a ferry arrives to take them across the river to Manhattan. They board quickly, but as they cross the river, sharks begin swimming after the ferry. One shark leaps out of the water and attacks one of Ellen's friends. Ellen tries to save her by electrocuting the shark, but it's too late. The shark leaves scars on her friend's face, and both the friend and the shark die, tangled together. Meanwhile, Finn is in a taxi on his way to the baseball stadium to rescue Martin and Vaughn. He tries calling Martin, but his phone is off since he's engrossed in the game. Finn arrives at the stadium and meets a woman named Sky, who was their schoolmate. Sky leads Finn to the stands where Martin and Vaughn are sitting. Finn tries to convince them to leave immediately, but they refuse, insisting on finishing the game. The river water, combined with strong winds, creates a powerful storm filled with sharks, which invades the baseball stadium. People panic as sharks begin falling from the sky. Chaos erupts as the terrified crowd scrambles to escape. Finn and his group manage to leave the stands. On their way out, they grab baseball bats to defend themselves. They exit the stadium and head to the train station, boarding a train. However, they fear that the storm's waters might flood the underground tunnels through which the train is traveling. A few kilometers ahead, two workers notice that water has flooded the underground passage. They rush to close the valves to stop the endless flow, which threatens to flood the entire tunnel. While walking through the passage, they encounter a giant crocodile that emerges from the water and attacks one of the workers, biting off his head. The other worker runs for his life as the crocodile chases him. However, the water pressure causes the valve to explode, flooding the passage with water and sharks. The unlucky worker is eventually caught and eaten by both the crocodile and the sharks. Back on the train, Finn looks out the window and sees the water, filled with sharks, racing toward them. The train speeds toward the station ahead, where passengers are waiting on the platform. Suddenly, the train arrives and enters the station. Behind the water filled with sharks, the entire station is flooding, and the sharks start attacking the passengers. One passenger, in a panic, urges others to run to the first car of the train before the sharks get in. Amidst the chaos, a shark breaches the car and attacks a police officer who was helping people escape. However, one of Martin's friends hits the shark with a baseball bat, saving them, though the officer loses a leg. But the shark isn't satisfied and goes after Martin's friend with the bat, who stands triumphantly, only to face danger. After the passengers rush to the first car, Finn returns to the breached car to save a woman the shark wants to drag away. Unfortunately, his efforts are in vain, and the shark turns on him as well. Finn defends himself with the baseball bat, but the shark breaks it, injuring Finn's hand. Finn grabs the broken bat piece and kills the shark. They realize their only hope is to get out of the train, so Finn pulls the emergency brake. As soon as the train stops, everyone, including Finn and the other passengers, rushes out and emerges from the tunnel onto the street. On the street, Finn and his group take a taxi and contemplate what kind of weapons might defeat the flying sharks. They reach Times Square, where they split up to search for supplies. Finn enters a restaurant and asks for gas canisters to make bombs, and the owner agrees to help them fight the sharks. Meanwhile, Martin and Vaughn enter a supermarket to buy materials for strong bombs. After gathering everything, they meet up and fashion a powerful sword resembling those of ancient heroes. Returning to the taxi, we find out that Ellen and her daughter, along with a friend, have been on a ferry to Manhattan for a while. They head to the building where Ellen told Finn to meet them. On the way, they encounter a man who offers to hide them in his nearby office, and they agree because the streets are chaotic, and the sharks have wreaked havoc on land, sea, and air. As the man runs with them, he drops his bag. He steps back to retrieve it and faces an unexpected fate. A shark tornado passing by the Statue of Liberty tears off its head, which flies and lands on the poor man as he retrieves the bag. In this scene, two sanitation workers find Ellen and her companions running in terror from the statue's head, which is rolling behind them. Quickly, they get into a garbage truck with the workers. Just as they get in, a flying shark attacks the driver, biting his head off. Without hesitation, Ellen takes the wheel and drives the truck as fast as possible to escape the statue's head. The second worker clings to the truck while Ellen speeds away. The statue's head reaches the truck and lightly scratches the worker's back. Knowing the truck is slow and the statue's head will crush them, Ellen veers the truck to the left onto the sidewalk, hitting a light pole. The statue's head passes by and they narrowly escape. They get out of the truck and run until they find a bike station. They take 3 bikes and head to the building where Finn and the others are supposed to meet them. At the hospital where April is, the doctors are worried about debris from the tornado breaking windows and injuring patients. They decide to move patients to the ground floor. April decides to escape amidst the chaos, leaves the hospital, and finds a fire truck to reach Finn. In the city, the storm causes river water filled with sharks to flood the streets. Finn and his group are trapped in the taxi, needing to escape quickly before the water drowns them and makes them easy prey for the sharks. Finn comes up with a smart idea. They exit through the taxi's sunroof. Finn takes a piece of rope from the driver and throws it over a traffic light pole. They slide down the rope over the shark-filled water. Everyone crosses, leaving Finn and the driver. As the driver crosses, a shark grabs his leg, pulling him down with the rope. Without the rope, Finn can't cross over the sharks, so he decides to take a risk and jumps, running over the sharks like playing Super Mario. He reaches the others safely, and they head to the building where they're supposed to meet Ellen and her group, but they don't find them there. They decide to split into 2 teams. Finn and Sky go to the rooftop to prepare bombs to throw into the storm, while Martin and Vaughn wait for Ellen on the ground floor. Meanwhile, Ellen and her daughter are still on the way, with the storm and flood behind them. A flying shark attacks Ellen's friend, tearing her apart. Ellen and her daughter reach the building where they are to meet and find Martin and Vaughn waiting, embracing each other. On the rooftop, Finn prepares the bombs, and Sky builds a large slingshot with a long rubber piece, securing it to the building to launch bombs into the storm and destroy the sharks. They prepare their bombs, but after several attempts, they don't achieve significant results. Suddenly, a swarm of sharks descends upon them. Sky pulls out a sword and slices a shark in half lengthwise in the storm. Another shark breaks the building's glass, allowing storm water to flood in, adding to the water from a broken water tank. The water floods the ground floor where Ellen's family is, and they rush to the emergency stairs. Back on the rooftop, Finn creates a massive bomb and throws it into the storm, killing some sharks. However, the explosion's fire catches the building, and debris falls on them with shark pieces. Finn and Sky quickly re-enter the building and descend the stairs. On the stairs, they find Ellen and her family coming up from below. Fleeing from water and sharks, they found themselves surrounded by fire from above and water and sharks from below. They saw the door to the 4th floor in front of them, leading to the fire exit, but it was locked. Finn managed to find an axe and tried it out by striking a shark on the head, killing it. After that, Finn broke the door with the axe, and they exited through the fire escape to the street. There, they found a firefighter's truck that had come to their rescue. They got in and went to the state building. Upon arrival, Finn met the mayor of New York and explained that he had tried bombs and fire against the sharks, but nothing worked. He wanted to destroy them using the building's freon gas tanks, which are used for cooling in air conditioners and refrigerators. The mayor agreed and gave Finn an electric saw, which could be useful. Sky went up the building with Finn. She entered the freon tank room and connected the electrical cables, while Finn connected the cables to the lightning rod on top of the building. After everything was ready, Finn pulled the cable connected to the tanks to activate it, but it got disconnected. Sky came to help and reconnected the cable. Finn used the electric saw as a conductor between the lightning and the building's rod, causing the entire building to explode. They were caught in the whirlwind, which became like a freezer due to the freon gas. They found themselves falling from the sky with the sharks. Finn clung to a flying shark and landed it on a building rod, killing the shark. He landed safely and met his wife. A flying shark came at them, and he had no means of defense. He looked beside him and found a dead shark. He opened the shark and found his wife's severed hand with a gun. Because this was the shark that had swallowed her during the plane incident, he shot the flying shark dead. Afterward, he took the ring from his wife's severed hand and knelt on one knee like a knight to put it on her other hand, as if proposing to her again. Subscribe to follow all the new movies.